Hi, ladies and gentlemen. We are back with the SAPI IP Business Talks. A warm welcome from my side. Today, I will be with my guest in Bavaria. So we are both in Bavaria, so very local discussion. But typically, we have the audience around the globe, mainly Europe at this time. And I'm very happy when you chat with us. So this is a live event on LinkedIn. So when you write something in the chat, I can see that here and I will bring that up to our guest. My guest today, as you can see here, is Sascha Kamhuber. And Sascha is an expert on patent information, basically. And we will talk today about a very specific topic. It is the steel industry, patent information in the steel industry. And I picked that up because that gives us the chance to make a deep dive in the question, how can you really use IP information, patent information, when it comes to a specific technological field? So not so much in general, but very specific to be innovative in such a field. So thank you very much, Sascha, to join us here. Sascha, first of all, my standard question to our guests is, how did you came into the field, into the strange field of IP?
Yeah, Alex, thanks very much for the question. So a very warm welcome from my side as well. Well, the strange IP industry, typically you are a developer. I'm a mechanical engineer and working as a developer and developed scissors for fiber cutting and stuff like that. And so, it came up with IP simply. So, and that's the reason why. So, are we allowed to do it like this? Could we change our development in this direction? So, this is where the first touch with IP came up, and I like that much, and it's a bit dry sometimes, but to make it smarter, to make it more easier for guys like me, we have started buying a company and doing things so that R&D people getting more and more easier into the patent topic, not that dry, not that old-fashioned. It's more like innovative and and to be honest, the knowledge of humankind is in there. So that's a hot topic, let's say.
So it's about lowering the barrier, right? So
Yes.
the entry barrier for people, that's your topic.
Yeah, definitely.
So we are very thankful that you are also promoting lots of information, presenting lots of information on the deep legs, especially on your topic, patent information in the steel industry. So when you audience are interested in learning more about that and what the approach from Sascha is, which we will talk about today, then you find here lots of information. And also he is an IP, he's not just an expert, he's our subject matter expert on that topic. And here he is integrated in the road mapping lecture from the SAPI IP Business University course about road mapping and integrated IP and innovation management. And here you can also learn why the topic from Sascha is real best practice into this field. So coming back to our topic today, it's patent information. And maybe not everybody knows that, it's not that interesting, but I started my career activity in this field 20 years ago or 25 years ago. It's unbelievable how long it is ago. At the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft in Munich and made patent retrieval, patent searches. And I was absolutely fascinated. I mean, that was the time where you used a telnet telnet console to get contact. In this case, it was typically STN in Karlsruhe with the mainframe computers. So that was absolutely high tech and great movie for me. And I made that in this institute from Fraunhofer for many different technologies. And I learned that the original thought of the patent system itself was that you should be able to use, so you have to disclose something, what you would like to claim as your patent. You have to disclose it to not just to create state of the art, to communicate this state of the art to skilled people or even to laymen, that you improve the knowledge on that technology. And this is a basic principle. You have to disclose that somebody could copy what you made, and as long as the patent is not enforced after it is lapsed, for example, you can do that. So the problem is that, to my understanding, this promise never were fulfilled, because we have patent monitoring and these activities in companies where you collect patent information, for example, from competitors, and give that to your R&D people, and these R&D people run nuts on that job, simply because it's the pure hell to read a patent, because patents are made how patents are made, because they are a legal instrument and they are basically a forbidding right. So what is now different, or how do you think that you can really come into that game and create an real benefit out of patent information?
Well, thanks for the for the hint. I mean, there are two things. I mean, on the one hand side, it's important that you have to understand that you need to think globally, first of all. So that means our purpose, we thought about, okay, first of all, we need to have, that's very simple, all data. And this simple topic is not that simple. And so what we did since more than 30 years, we collected everything, we bought everything, every patent office, all those different suppliers, all the machine translation of the full text information, all the original full text, all the PDF, the drawings, everything. So it's really important to combine that with the legal information of patents for the experts, but as well for R&D people, because if they are looking to simple the information or the inventions itself. If you have these information, if you have the global world, let's say, documented
Isn't that
into
why do you buy the data? So it isn't that available by BP Index or Impadog or Busnet? I think it's easy. I have even Google Patent. So where's the problem?
Yeah, the problem is that they just provide us a part of that. And if you are going professional, you need to have everything, because if you're looking for infringements, you should really also have Saudi Arabia, for example, even if you are not interested in that, but you will find infringement documents, or for example, with the old Japanese. It's very, very important to have them, because they have really good inventions, old invention, basic inventions, where you can destroy IP, which are, let's say, it really depends on the
You mean
business
for a
case.
nullity case, right?
Yes, definitely. And so the intention is really to have everything, very simple. And the second intention is to have everything machine translated into English as well, because of the original full texts must be machine translated into English, so that everybody can search, or using AI searches to create similarity and identify other topics which are you have not in the pipe. So this is really important to make things easier on the
Okay.
first step. Even if it's
Okay.
more data, you need to handle them.
So what I understand is that so this is one of the reasons why you focus on a certain technological field, because your starting point sounds simple, but is quite sophisticated, that you say everything what is published should be available.
Yes, yes. Same with non-patent literature, of course. But let's focus on IP. Um, so the next step is, as you mentioned before, using the InputDoc database, bringing that together to, let's say, inventions, where you take the priorities from other. So bring it together to one idea, let's say. So for this level, it's usually the good level for R&D people. It's not probably the right level for IP experts. It depends on. But for R&D people to get the first idea of an invention, InputDoc families are great for that. So this is what we use for that. And as you mentioned, R&D people like me are not really interested in the legal issues in patents and what is claimed and the pending claims on that, and they are focused on the inventions itself. And bringing the right focus to them, we have implemented such a so-called workflow, where we really see, okay, R&D people gets, first of all, from the monitoring, high relevant information in a workflow process and see really if it's necessary to again see. Of course, it's not necessary to see a second or third time. For legal issues, other people are interested in, if it's relevant for the company and if it's relevant for R&D project, a development project, then of course, yes. So it really depends on, and this is a workflow which saves between 80 and 85% of regular time compared to let's say single document work. So yeah, that makes sense in this case.
So that means so one of the reasons. So no, we have now two reasons why you focus on a specific industry. Let's call it industry, because lots of technologies are in there. It's not one technology, and but it is driven. It's a complete industry, and you focus on that for two very good reasons. So the first reason is that you say you are complete, so people can trust that when there's nothing found, there is nothing, or extremely likely that there is nothing.
Yeah.
This is one of the key problems when you ask for a patent retrieval, that the question, the difference between you didn't found anything or or there is nothing. What exactly is the answer? And that is the one question. And the other question, or the other reason, is that you say that you can speak really the language of that people. So that they have certain questions, certain kind of thinking, certain logics, and you are a mechanical engineer, so you understand these guys very well, how they think, how they discuss, what kind of idea formulation they have, and that gives you the opportunity to let them ask in their language and to give answers in their language, and in between you have the patent information.
You're right. That's the
Okay, thank you.
intention. You have to make it easy. You really, that's really a key purpose. You have to make it easy so that there's no trainee or something like, yeah, educational things necessary. It must be intuitive and it must be easy for the people, because if they use it once a month, so I don't have time to learn once a month the system. That's not relevant. I mean, you have to do it very simple, but also professional in their purpose.
I like that so much. I can't believe, because when I started to become a info broker, um, that was the time in the 90s, yeah,
Yeah,
mid
me too.
90s, and that was fascinating because it was so complex to use these retrieval languages. It's like a programming language,
Yeah,
and I went to courses, and there were thick books. And today I always so I told that to my children, that in former days, but I'm explaining that also to the students. In former days, when a software was very powerful, so first of all, a software that was a box, and in that box were some CDs, DVDs later, or in the early time floppy disks, and books, thick books. And the thicker the book, yeah, the more powerful was the software and more expensive was the software. So you have to learn more, you have to invest more of your time because the software was more powerful. So this is an unbelievable thought today. But I went on courses and trainings to learn all that things, how to make a patent search. Yeah, so what is a patent family and why does that count and blah blah blah. So unbelievable. And how to get all that information out of the databases, which you nearly so literally had to program. So, and what you say, and this is exactly the point, that when you then use the tool once a month, maybe you have to retrain, you have to check all these functionalities again, because the tool is so complex. So, and what you say is that your objective was to make it as simple as possible, but at the same time as safe as possible, that the answers are correct.
yeah, that's it. That's it. And of course, I mean, we have, of course, IP people like me, which came also from Questel, SDN. Learning, knowing how to do these, yeah, typical searches, and this is of course possible for them as well. I mean, even
I
easier
call
than
them
in the
the Boolean
past.
guy.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's but that's real life. I mean, this is in a large enterprise. You have both situations. You have the IP department, who probably professional searchers, and you have also R&D. Lots of people in R&D, and especially steel industry, they have again other topics, and especially these topics are really, yeah, you need to focus on these. This is really important, that you
Sascha,
get
that
for each person the right, let's say, setup.
that leads me to another question, which triggers me when I see your content on the Deeplex, and that is, why the steel industry? So sorry for the question, but I mean, I'm a physicist by training, and I learned about so much, so fancy materials. And first Google last year, now this year, Microsoft starts a material science rally with Google is MetaGen, and they develop thousands of crystal structures which are stable and promising. And so we everybody says we are on the frontier of a completely new world with new materials. And obviously material, I mean, even the we call the stone age because of the material which was available to the people. So and we are definitely in the steel age still. So but isn't that boring? I mean, is that really an innovative field? So see me as a layman. I just ask.
Yeah, well, but to be honest, from the first thinking, probably you're right. But yeah, it's an innovative area, definitely, definitely, and they have simply real problems with the claiming of patents, because of there are lots of, let's say, possibilities to describe what is claimed, and there are no possibilities or nearly no possibilities to search like a steel material scientist would like to do so. And this is well, to answer your question, it's let's say born by the customer needs. We work since decades with a steel company, a large steel company, and well, it fascinates me how steel is still made, and still lots of innovation in there. And to be honest, I mean, actually, we have 8 million new patents a year, 8 million, and nearly 1 million of these patents are steel based.
Wow.
It's
I would
just
believe that.
it's not something which is a small problem. It's a large problem, to be honest. Of course, not all of them are the pure steel producer IP. Of course, yes, but you will find everything, and all of these have nearly the same issues. And these issues are actually unsolved. And these people need to have real exact information, not wrong, not similar. They need to have
Oh,
exact
see.
information. And that's a real issue, yes, because of it costs incredible time to work with that.
So my understanding is that we have this value chain, this process value chain of steel, and there are many different stages and different interests. And what you say is across these value chain, we see innovation, we see inventions. So my understanding is, because it is a pretty well-known technological field, there's a lot of pressure in it, competition. So we are here in Germany. Germany lost a lot of their steel industry, and we see that now in other countries. On the other hand, we have one of the most modern steel mill in Duisburg from Thyssen, when I'm rightly informed. But basically, this is a industry which has a high pressure in competition, especially driven by costs. So what can a patent information tool contribute in such an industry?
Well, I mean, there are several topics. I mean, first of all, I mean, it's like we have in all other industries. I mean, you need to avoid different risks of infringement. You need to have a clear view of your competition and a clear view of technologies. So what you need to have is the state of the art. I mean, but for all these steel producing industry, they have all the same issue. They need to know what's really inside. I mean, as I mentioned, 1 million, nearly 1 million new per year IP. How can we read that? I mean, of course, we can use the regular Boolean search methodology and AI searches, stuff like that. But it's not precise enough, because we need to deeply dive into a steel, into a chemical element, into the ranges with the chemical element, and into the units, to the harmonized units, because of we, first of all, for the infringement, we look globally, also for the state of the art. Of course, steel is heavy, and so transport is expensive. So you have certain focus on countries, of course, that's the case. But for severals, for infringements or stuff like that, you look for the world. Everything is comes into account till the defined priority date, and so this is the combination. And for all these steel producing industries, they have, let's say, internal databases where they really, let's say, extract the most important information from patents and bring it into these databases to have a real overview about the technology situation. And this is incredible work to do, incredible handwork to do. And what we do is we optimize that, and we help real R&D people, material scientists, to do it much faster and easier and correct.
So what I understand is, one question, what are harmonized units or harmonized data?
Well,
what do you mean with that?
Harmonized means, for example, we have in US the system with inch, and we have here the metric system. So some are, for example, in US, lots of IP are claimed in PSI, and tensile strength are claimed in PSI, and in Europe it's megapascal, for example. Some are in gigapascal, some do it in Newton, and so you have to calculate that, and you have to harmonize so that you get the correct information and the correct ranges for the correct harmonized units. So what we do is we do the ISO units. We harmonize everything to ISO units. And you have also, for example, the hardness problem. There are several hardnesses. I mean, Brinell, because that's the usual regular one for the steel industry. But as a patent attorney, sometimes you try to, let's say, avoid being founded, and you're using ceramic hardness, for example, which is nobody in steel industry would use, but of course you can claim that, and you can go for that. And for some hardnesses, you can recalculate to Brinell, to Vickers, to Shore or Knop is ceramics, for example, more used there. And and this is what we do to make it easy.
Okay, got you. So that means in different countries you have different styles to talk about that kind of inventions. You even have these hidden intention issues, so you don't want to be found, and so on. And that is one way to do is using different units or unusual units, even when it is a steel patent. So okay, got you. And also there are different logics how to explain the invention, which is still fine for the patent office, but for the guys in the steel industry, nobody would explain it so. Or for the US guys, it makes absolutely no sense how the Europeans are talking about that. Or for Asians, they wouldn't describe it in that way. And you harmonize that different styles of claiming and explaining inventions to make them easier to digest and to understand.
That's it.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay. So, Sascha, maybe to make it, my suggestion is that we switch a bit to your Dplex page, because there you have a video, and in that video it is a bit explained how the tool is working and why this is something completely different from a search in a classical patent database. Would that make sense?
Yeah, sure. Good idea.
Okay. Then I think it's here. So yes. Okay. Give me a sign when you can hear the sound.
This is an example how to conduct an FTO search in the steel industry. In particular, a nullity search with the SteelMaker tool is shown. Further data processing, evaluation, and the workflow are not shown in this video. The task is to identify prior art for an ultra-high-strength steel with a specific substrate composition and coating, and for a latest publication date. In a first step, we are specifying the strength of the ultra-high-strength steel. We choose a strength in the range of 1,300 to 1,800 megapascal. The search reveals over 13,000 documents for this tensile strength. Next, we are choosing the substrate composition. The carbon substrate should be in the range of 0.2 to 0.3 mass percent. The manganese substrate should be in the range of 1.1 to 1.4 mass percent. The silicon substrate should be up to 0.1 mass percent. And the chromium substrate should be in the range of 0.5 to 0.6 mass percent. A new search for documents covering ultra-high-strength steels with substrate compositions in the specified ranges shows only 1,801 documents. Scrolling down shows the first found patent document, where the relevant passages regarding the substrate composition and tensile strength are highlighted in the claims. Additionally, we can specify the coating of the steel. Here we choose a magnesium coating between 0.2 to 0.3 mass percent. This leaves us with 31 documents covering steels with these properties. Again, we can go directly through the claims of the found documents to closer investigate the prior art. In a final step, we can also limit the search to documents published before a certain date. In this example, we choose to search only for documents published before the 3rd November 2022. This leaves us with 20 found documents. For more information on data processing, evaluation, and workflow, please get in contact with our expert via.
Okay, brilliant. So so that shows that this precision issue, this unit issue, this way of thinking from steel guys, and that, I mean, when you want to do that with a Boolean classic retrieval, it is close to impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, yeah. So
impossible to find. Yeah.
Yeah. So you talked about processes, process flow with information. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's well, we have these two topics. Let's say, on the one hand side is the search or the monitoring, and on the other hand side is the evaluation process, because of it ends up in an internal database usually, where all this information is stored, and actually they do it manually. All of yeah, it's and what we can do is we can support this process so that simply there's significant time save on that, a real significant time save. And of course, we are able to view the world now and everything, simply everything. Well, the process itself, how it came from IP to R&D and then back to IP, is let's say the idea of who needs to see an invention in principle, and who needs to see the legal aspects of an Impadoc family. So because as I mentioned, steel is expensive to transport, and this is why usually they are focused on certain countries. And but of course, also the process in steel industry to change that is also expensive, because of lots of invention are done on the process side, not only on substituting chemical elements. It's also the process which is really important. And for what we do with Steelmaker, we cover both. We cover on the one hand side the process aspects, so with steel, so-called steel ontologies, where we care about the synonyms, where we care about the aspects of the steel industry, which is a permanent work. It's nothing which is done once and it stops, because of we see by weekly information, imagine 20,000 new steel patents a week. Wow. So, and lots of ideas in these patents how to hide things. That's the case. And we are aware of that our rules and our ontologies, which we did in the past, needs to be adapted, recently adapted to identify the correct information in the future and recently. And this is I call this the internal process at InfoApps, which we do to really, let's say, make the process at the client side really possible and focused on the real invention. And that's
Okay,
yeah.
The problem, just I would like to summarize. So that means that because of this still very active, innovative field, we have still a generation of new terminology. On the one side, because this technology is really new. On the other side, maybe because they don't want to be found, and they simply call the things in a different way. So the terminology is continuously evolving for that reasons. And when you have taxonomies with which you want to work, to document, to record, so then you have the problem that these taxonomies have to be adapted continuously to the ongoing change of the language, of the terminology, which is used in the documents, in the patent literature.
Absolutely, that's it.
Okay, and you offer a kind of adoption process for terminology which is changing or coming new to the market, and helping with that systematic work, helping to keep pace with that development for the industry, so that they don't have to do the work. And I mean, it makes sense when you do it in a centralized way.
Yeah.
It makes sense to get that from you, compared to that everybody's doing that on their own.
Yeah.
So is it so that you create a kind of meta taxonomy, that you say, when you look for this technological aspect, you have to look for this terms, because it could be described in that way?
Yes, but this is we combine well, we have even own AI models generated for that. But to be honest, that's it's human work, because of you need to have it absolutely precise. So there's no space for failures there because of as you have seen. I mean, if you're looking in this range and you just want to see this range and nothing more, the overlap, of course, you can say you want to have the overlap or not, or you just want to be in the middle of the range, or however you like to define that. But it needs to be correct, and this means human work. That's it. Full stop.
Okay. Yeah, got you. I mean, that is exactly what I would expect when I pay for such a tool or such a service. By the way, what is that? Is that a service? Is that a tool? So what I'm buying from you, basically?
It's both. It's a software as a service. So some are using that just at info apps. And for some, they have it internal also, the same tool internal. They get the data, the patent data from us, but have it installed internally and connected also to their internal database. It really depends on, but in principle, it's both possible.
And
Like
what is the feedback? I mean, at the end of the day, you promise that R&D people are willing to work with that tool simply because they can handle it, and at the end you showed claims, but this is more the legal aspect, right? So there are also other kind of informations which you can create.
Yeah. So this is, for example, in this video was shown what is claimed simply, but of course, I mean, you can use search for in the description, which is much larger than the claim area. So, but it really depends on your aspects. What you like to have, what you are looking for. So in this case, it was really the aspects of what is claimed and to compare with these, but it's really simple to switch. You can switch on machine translations or just originals, or you just focus on certain countries and the full text of the country codes. And yeah, it really depends on. That's but per default, it's like, for me, like R&D people, it's you must not care. That's done per default in that way so that it makes sense to you, and
Okay.
that's the intention. That's very simple.
Okay, got you. Okay, so depending on the question, you get the appropriate answer, so to speak. I mean, here we asked about a very precise information from the claim. So what exactly is protected in terms of the composition of the steel, and there's nothing to discuss. I mean, there are figures and in the claims. That's it. And as you said, am I in the middle or on the part of the range, whatever? But here you can really be precise as you want, because you have these. You can use the figures to become more and more into exactly what you're looking for. Got you. So Sascha, thank you very much. That was intriguing. I'm absolutely fascinated from that field. And one of our audience, he said that he's glad that finally we came to the question of the units, because that's such a mess. And yeah, of course. I mean, I'm happy that we made a deep dive in this IP business talk to really come to these nuts and bolts of this very, very tricky issue. And still, it's a multi-billion-dollar business deal, and it is one of the most important materials on the globe. And insofar, it makes absolutely sense to have such a tool. So thank you very much for making that clear to all of us, and at least to me. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for explaining that to us. And a good time to you. And thank you very much to the audience. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.